All right, take 6 now. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a very long time. I say that all the time because it happens. Last time I posted something was 6 months ago because I moved. What's going on here?
Okay.
I moved, and a lot of stuff has been going on in the meantime. So, I mean, you guys you can go ahead and start if you want to. Just ask some sort of questions. But familiar face to my right here, Ben Boyd. He's been on an episode before. It's a good business decision for me because you're almost at like 2K views right now.
Boyd's do numbers, baby.
So, and it keeps going up. I don't really know what's Boyd's do numbers. Put that on a T-shirt. And new to the couch, Gio. Wave. Nah, she does cues very well.
The sign language is going to be crazy on this podcast.
I will say that you're about to watch Masters of their craft because trying to get stuff out of her is going to be damn hard.
Starting it like that is not.
So
good.
you were in for a trick.
Gee,
here.
we've hung out for 3 days straight, and you've said under 40 words to
I
me.
don't like talking to you.
Oh no, okay. I planned this poorly somehow. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start with the questions. Maybe that'll get the ball rolling a little bit. So, also, like I was saying, kind of a question for you, so we can kind of go back and
What were
forth
you
between
saying to
this a
me?
little bit. So, you're originally from Jersey. We're filming this in the Carolinas, but you're originally from Jersey.
Yes.
You go to... Thank you. See? Great. You go to school in Georgia.
Yes.
And we're filming now kind of like in the midway point between the two of
Not
them.
midway.
More-ish midway. You know where I'm going with this.
Sort of the Middle West.
Kind of. Do you like traveling like that? Or like does it bother you at all? Because what is it? Jersey from Georgia's how
That's
long?
12 hours.
Yeah.
But I've never done that straight through.
Because you stop here for like pit stops and stuff,
Yes.
right? Okay, yeah. So when you like know that you have to go home or like leave from here to go to Jersey or back to Georgia or whatever it is, are you just like, damn, like I really don't want to do this, or does it not really like bother
Not
you that much?
really. You can't be doing that on camera. No, I actually
My bad.
failed my driver's test. I hated driving. I used to hate it, and now I actually like it a lot, and I like it alone. I don't like driving with other people, and I like long drives. So this is actually great.
Do you just, because people have recommended to me, because I don't really like long drives that much. Do you listen to like podcasts and stuff, or is it more just like you just toss on a playlist or something and listen to music?
Usually I just do music. When I went from here to home to New Jersey, I did like a podcast episode that was like almost 2 hours, but then I just went back to music after because I was like, all right, I've had enough of that.
Yeah. What about you? Because I know that you travel, I don't say a lot, but like when I was living here, you would go home like pretty decently frequently.
Yeah, no,
I
especially
would
those
say.
first few months. I mean, to say that I had minimal friends would be honestly overshooting it.
Mhm.
But I feel like, yeah, I'm a big podcast guy, but my huge issue is that I put on a podcast and then it's kind of a good thing because I'm like, where did that last 45 minutes go? But it's like I could have gone into a car accident and I wouldn't even realize. It's like, no stop signs exist. Every red light is a green light. I get so entranced in like a good conversation, and I'm honestly talking at my wheel too. I'm like, I'm putting my own 2 cents in whenever I hear podcasts, but it's just absolutely brutal because I'll look back on it and I'll just be like, oh man, like glad I slammed on my brakes, pulled into the emergency lane because I was listening to this person talk and almost murdered a family of 4. It's not healthy at all.
All right.
A thumbs up. Oh, we just got a thumbs up from Gio. This is a audio forwards podcast. They're not going to see that.
So they weren't
They'll see it on
meant to.
YouTube for those that watched it on there. That's
Shout out
fine.
YouTube, shout out YouTube.
Do you have anything like that too? Because actually, when I was on the way down here, it's funny you bring that up because for like one of the few times that this has happened to me, I just kind of like, for maybe like a 30, 45 minute stretch, I just wasn't, like I was paying attention to driving, but it was just kind of like a muscle memory thing. It wasn't like, if somebody slammed on brakes.
It's reactive driving.
I would do it,
Yeah.
but like I was just listening to music and like an hour went by and like I didn't even really pay attention. Does that happen to you
Yes,
too?
all the time.
Yeah.
It could be like a 10-minute drive, and I'll blink and I'll be like, I wasn't paying attention for the last 8 minutes of that drive, and I'm like, there'll be other people in the car too, and I won't pay attention to them either. I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah. Is it different though, like when you're driving by yourself? Like you just kind of completely tune out sometimes?
Yeah.
When
I'm like, especially if I like get off an exit or like get onto a highway, and then my directions say, all right, for the next 118 miles, you're on this 2-lane highway with only trees on either side of you. It's game over, and I'm not paying attention to a single thing.
See, I like that though, because I take like the back roads to get here.
No, see, when I was driving from Jersey to here, I was on a 2-lane highway with only trees for over 150 miles, and I wanted to. I felt like I was going insane.
YouTube, please. She
Never
didn't mean
mind.
that.
I did it when I.
Well, like the second the second half of what's the timestamp on that? 6 minutes. I'm gonna have to doot when she says.
I want to myself.
Yeah, I want to love myself. But no, there's like the second half kind of is just like a long. I don't know if you've ever been towards the direction where I'm coming from, but like the second half of it or like the first half, if you're going there, is just like, unless you're stuck behind somebody that sucks and is just like really slow and doesn't care about everybody else behind them, it's just like you go like 60, 70 down this one road and it's just like trees, which I actually kind of like if you're listening to like good music and stuff like that. But I didn't know. How far is it from here to Jersey?
Like 8.5.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask which is worse between the two, but I feel like that answers that question.
From Savannah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Would you rather drive
from here
3.5 hours or 8.5 hours?
Well, yeah, I meant from here to Savannah or from here to Jersey, but it sounds like the Jersey drive is way worse.
Yeah.
All right. So Gio goes to film school, and please don't click off right now because I told you we've talked about film. No, not because of you. We've talked about film a decent amount on the podcast, but like for me at least, I think it's really cool, especially something that I'm passionate about, to have somebody that knows a lot about the subject. Because my friends, like, we watch it, we're careful observers and everything like that, but you're actually learning like how it's working, what's going on behind the camera and stuff like that. But I have a few questions kind of revolved around like film school/film, but not like film specifically. So if you want to give me like top lists and stuff like that, you definitely can. But the first question I had about this, and also now that I think about it, kind of we can come to you about it too. My major, I didn't really have anybody either that like I lived with or that I was like super close with that had the same like major that I do or was like focused on the same thing. I can come to you after when she talks about it a little bit, but like your roommates and your friends, like obviously you go to a film school, like you guys are all into that stuff, I would hope. Can you talk about like, you might not have as much subjection to it because that's what you've gone to school for is film, but do you think that that's like an important thing to have, is like having a bunch of people, not a bunch, but like 3 or 4 people around you that you can like talk about certain film stuff or like things that you're going to school for? Or would you rather maybe have like a psychology major, a sociology major, like somebody that's different fields? So what do you think about that?
I mean, I feel like considering film is like a collaborative career and like you need to make connections, like it's good to have people around me that do it, because like if I want to make a film, I can be like, oh, well, my crew's just all my friends because my one roommate likes to produce, my other likes to AD, my other likes to DP, and like they all want to do different things, so like it's good in that way. But at the same time, like I did laundry the other day and I saw like this one girl that I kind of know, and I like said hi to her and I was talking about her, and she's a UX major, which is like user design. I don't even really know what it is, but she was like, yeah, I like have a subscription with Home Depot because I had to buy a bunch of wood. I was like making a lamp, and I'm like, what? Like I forgot that happens there. And then also going to an art school, I kind of miss out on the like normal majors like psychology and stuff. Like nobody takes that at my school, so it's like, I don't know, I feel like I am missing out on that aspect. But in the long run, like career wise, I think it's better with what I have for what I want to do.
Yeah.
But
Not like as an attempt for you to like just shite on your school. Shite? I didn't cuss. That was pretty cool.
Irish.
Huh?
Irish.
Yeah. Do you ever, because I think I've asked you this, but I think it's
My one contribution in the last 10 minutes is being Irish.
Ben hasn't spoken in a few minutes.
this is what's getting you
that's shite.
views.
Yeah. What a breaking headlines.
That's gonna be the bleep for what you said earlier. It's just gonna. Sometimes I want to Irish myself.
Sometimes I like to put Irish myself.
Yeah. Not to obviously like downplay what you go to school for and everything like that, because I think I have asked you this question before. Do you get bored? Like, because I know that there's film has like an all-encompassing, like there's writing, there's directing, there's cinematography, like there's a bunch of different things. But have you ever found yourself kind of like getting bored, or like the stuff that you're doing is kind of mundane, you weren't really like a fan of?
I don't think I've ever been bored, but I definitely have struggled to like find my like niche in film because film is so wide. So it's like before now I kind of was like, oh, well, I need to take classes in everything. Like I need to take a camera class, I need to take a lighting class, I need to take a writing class, an editing class, because I wanted to like figure out which one was like what I wanted to do. Because like film being so broad is good because you can like do a bunch of stuff, try a bunch of stuff, and like, but also like when you're trying to get a job, you kind of need to be good at something, and like I was trying to find that one thing, so I was never bored, but it was kind of hard to like figure out what I actually want to do. I still don't really know, but
I mean, I have a question about it, but I feel like some of the stuff you found more obviously enjoyable than like if you were building a lamp or something like that, you'd be like, this sucks, like I don't want to do this, and you're more focused on other aspects of it. What about you? Like, do you you might not have like I don't know. I think they're more like tech oriented from like what I've heard, but from I guess like your standpoint, how is it for like not having? Because obviously like you have people that you hang out with and friends, stuff like that, that might not have. It's true, guys. It does. That might not have the same like psychology or something like that. But like, how is it for you? Maybe not having like people that you're always around that are in the same field or something.
I feel that with film is kind of like culture, and it's like whenever I'm around Giovanna and her friends, I see them talking so much about just like film things, how this was shot, this actor, this project, something that someone's working on, their friend who's finally got something greenlit, they need $10,000 to film this thing. It's so different in psychology where I'm just like, hey man, like that reading last week was rough. Yeah. And it's just like my psychology friends are more there to sympathize with me, and we're going through the same thing, but I don't feel like we're collaborating and making something. I don't think there's any new products being created. I think it's just us getting through something together. Whereas at SCAD, when I see film students talking, it is them creating something. And I feel like from psychology, this is my reading this week, the human mind strives to create. And I think that outlet of film school is much more conducive to that, because it is much more give students a lesson and watch them run, as opposed to make sure students know this thing, which is a traditional school. And, you know, it's been criticisms for years. It's just like, they're studying me, they're quizzing me on what I can remember. It's whatever. I just feel like whenever I'm around film students, I see so much more creativity and all that, versus when I'm with my psychology friends, my non-psychology friends, it doesn't really matter. I'm asking them about their business test. I'm asking them about the physics exam. They're saying they got their 60. That's the highest grade in the class. It doesn't really matter, you know? But I feel like there's a much harsher sort of divide, not between psychology and non-psychology, but between traditional schooling and art schooling. And I think that's where I see a lot of that kind of, I don't know the word for it, but like, I'm like, I don't know, cut this, honestly.
That was, you had it.
Yeah, I was cooking and then cut that.
I don't,
the bacon.
What'd you say?
What was that, Giovanna?
You're cooking, then you burned the bacon.
Yeah, I was cooking and then I burned the bacon. I was cooking and I burned the bacon.
You're cooking and then the smoke alarm went off. Yeah, for sure. I don't remember if you said this last time on your episode. What got you into psychology in the first place?
I think we kind of backdoored me saying this question, but I'm really just like interested in like base reactions of human beings. Just like what causes a reflex. What is like, anyone can say anything, and like, I don't know, it's hard to put into words. With enough time, any human being can be convinced of something else, but I'm really interested in studying the things that cause someone to have an innate reaction. Like when someone's yelling at you, are you yelling at them, or are you cowering in the corner, or just taking it and yelling, or like, are you waiting for them to finish? Those are things that can't really be taught as well as much as they are studied. And those studies I find very interesting.
Yeah, I never really thought about it that way, I guess, because I'm kind of like
sociology, right?
Yeah, I'm a subclass kind of like psychology.
Yeah,
so.
Well, when you were talking to Gio, you were like, Ben's so different, and I was like, sociology, psychology, we're kind of two sides of the same coin.
Well, yeah, but in terms of her schooling is a lot different than our schooling, but
yeah,
I think
exactly. We're two different majors, but at the same time, when we see Gio's school, it's like what they got going on over there.
It's like their own.
Happening?
It's kind of like their own little like using my degree, kind of like their own little like subculture with their own kind of like.
My God, this guy's got a degree.
Who would have thought? Well, the reason I asked him was because we were actually talking a little bit yesterday about. You said that you did like broadcasting in high school. It was kind of like a substitute for newspaper, right? You said you guys didn't really have like a newspaper. Did that kind of like ignite your passion for like film, or like get you into wanting to learn more about like the behind the camera work and things like that?
You didn't even ask me, and I feel like that's a great question. I'm thinking about that from her perspective already.
Okay.
Damn. Sorry.
No, it started like, I don't know. I would be like 10 years old, and I would just be writing scripts for like my family friends, and I would like make my friend, my brother, her brother, my parents, her parents. They would all have roles, and they would all have to do it. And I would just like every summer I would just annoy them and be like, okay, like can you film today? Can you film today? And I'm like a 10-year-old asking this, and it's like they're like, film what? Like what are you talking about? And like it started there, and then like I don't know. I never really thought about it, and then I went to a tech high school, and then I had to pick a program to like I had to apply to the school and apply for a program, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and like all my friends were doing like medical, and I was like, well, I don't.
You said meth for a second.
Yeah.
All my friends were doing meth.
In 8th grade, that was
amphetamines.
Meth was a big thing in 8th grade, man. I don't know about you guys. Sorry, keep going.
No, but they were all going into that, or law, and I just didn't want to do any of that. And then my mom was like, well, why don't you do this studio production one, because you used to write and like make videos. And I was like, all right, I mean, I got nothing else. So I went and I got in, and then I learned like film about that, but that was more centered on like live broadcasting. So I wanted to do that for a while, but I also still was like on my own learning more about film and then learning about live broadcasting, so it kind of just like combined. But I mean, it definitely like brought back and like kind of helped me figure out what I actually want to do.
Well, what you were saying about like when you were 10 and you were asking people to film stuff, that's me now. Because like now I'll like
We know.
now
Yeah,
word
we figured
now
it out,
I'll
yeah.
perhaps hurtful. Now I'll like create stuff, and I'd say more often than not, like I will find people that like either I know will be more open to doing it, or because they're like they see that it's something that like I'm really passionate about, or they think it's something that they can actually see becoming a really cool product, then they will help me. But I feel like there is a little bit of the like, and you were 10, so maybe I don't know if you remember this so much, but like for me, a 23-year-old.
Shout out our 10-year-old listeners.
Yeah.
Dream big.
After some
Huge
stuff we
audience.
said, don't do meth. But yeah, like there's a little bit of like I don't want to annoy people about it, but it is what I'm making. I truly think that'll be like really cool to share with other people. So that was kind of funny. Like I started smiling when you were saying like when I was 10, I was like, film this, please, because that's kind of me now. Like I'll just write something and I'll ask my sister. I'm like, Liv, let's do this, and she's like, no,
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
sure
want
being a
to.
10-year-old helped, because they would look at me and be like, okay, like sure, we'll do it.
Yeah. Well, at that
appease the 10-year-old.
Yeah, at that point you're still a kid, so like, yeah, we'll do it. But like an adult, they're like, no, I don't have,
do it now.
yeah, I don't have time for that. I'm not filming. So going back a little bit to, because I was saying that because film is so broad and there's so many like little subcategories and stuff of it, something that I personally struggle with, you seem to have like a greater passion for writing, and you've kind of started like drifting towards it a little bit, which she's actually given us the privilege of reading some of the stuff that she's done.
She's nice at writing.
Yeah, she's really good, and I don't say that just because she's a guest, and I'm thankful that she's doing this podcast.
I
for me.
actively don't like Giovanna. She's good at that.
Okay.
Glad we got that out there, I guess.
Thanks.
But no, like some of the stuff that she writes, it's not, because we had a conversation yesterday too about writing and kind of like directing being like intersected with each other, and like if you need to write stuff that needs to be directed, or that's kind of something that just needs to be conveyed. I can't remember the one line specifically. It was my favorite, and I'm not going to name the product because that's coming. It's delayed a little bit,
Fall
but hopefully coming soon.
I was like, what are you talking about?
And
Starring me and Cole. You heard it here first.
anyway, an unnamed product that Gio will hopefully be getting out in the near future. You wrote something. If you can remember the line specifically, there's no like obviously super pressure for it, but yes, it was.
Oh, was it actually that?
Thanks, Gio, for
Sensing
for
permission?
remembering.
Yeah.
It was like something about a character wanting to check their phone, but they were looking at their friend to like looking for permission to look at their phone because they knew that their friend didn't want them to look at the phone, so they were like. But yeah, I thought that was really cool. I think a lot of the stuff that you write is dope. Did your kind of like love for writing, did that develop during film school, or was that always kind of maybe going back to when you were a kid, like we were just talking about? Were you always big on? Because I've centered more towards now, obviously, like you saw a little bit earlier, the like actual shooting and stuff of it, as opposed to like I try to write a little bit sometimes not the best. When did that like start for you? When did that become like your main quote unquote focal point?
I don't know. I always did like writing. I would probably like growing up I was more of like English than like math or science in school, and my mom teaches English too, so it's like that was big, and I just read a lot growing up, and then I would write a lot, and I would write more than I ever thought about like film. So it was like that came first, and then my mom always boosted my ego because she would always be like, "You're such a great writer." Like she was like, "You should write for Hallmark because it's like Hallmark cards suck." Or I don't know if I'm.
You should write for Hallmark is the all-time backhanded compliment I've ever heard in my life.
She would say because they are not good, and she'd be like, "You could just do so much better." And I was like, "Well, I hope so." But no, it started like a while ago, and then I don't know. That never like went away. I just like still struggle with thinking about how that can be a career.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying earlier, like I tried to take all the classes to like find what I wanted to do, and I was hoping I would like, you know, cameras or lights or something that's more like substantial for a career, and I could just be like, all right, well now I don't have to write for my career. But then I tried it all, and I was like, I just like writing, and I think it's what I'm good at. So we're going with that. Don't know where it's gonna go, but that I don't know. It like started a while ago.
See, but I think that can have a lot of benefit in maybe if like the writing and film aspect just doesn't work out for whatever reason, maybe there's a line in like journalism or there's some sort of like publication thing that you can get into. I think there's the good thing about kind of the stuff that you're learning is that it can open the door to like a lot of other stuff too, which I think is really cool. Do you have a certain like genre that you like writing about? Because I think the two things that you've let me read were more kind of like mystery or like a murder kind of.
I would say character oriented. They focus more on the relationships than they do, you know, like a central plot point or like a plot device. It's more about the characters.
Yeah. Do you have like either a genre or kind of like a stylistic way that you write stuff?
It's not really genre. I don't really like write anything specific genre wise, but I don't know, when I started to like actually pay attention to movies and like how they affected me and like made me think about things, like I would see myself in a character or like the movie or character would like it would embody something that like I'd been feeling but didn't know how to show or put into words. And so now I kind of just take something that I'm feeling and like turn it into a story. Like it'll be like the very base of the plot, and then I'll just build off of it. So I'll probably use like a character and then make them feel what I'm feeling, and I won't like outright write it. I'll like turn it into something else, but like I just want to like, I don't know, because when I watch something and I can like connect to it and be like, wow, like they got it, I just want to make that for somebody else.
Yeah, that's really hard.
I was about to say, at its base layer, it's me looking at, I'm watching a movie, right? And I'm looking at people around the room, and I'm like, that's you, that's you, that's you, this character's you. And it's so easy to assign a character to someone, but I could never create a character that someone could point to their friend and say, that's you. I can never create a relatable human that is like doing normal interactions. Like I couldn't write the dialogue. I couldn't create the backstory. So when I read some of your work or when I watch a different movie and I can clearly see that like, this is like, I read it or I watch it and I'm like, I see this thing and I'm clearly able to point to someone and be like, that's classic Cole.
Yeah.
That's the sign of a good character, because it's like, if I created someone, it would be like, this is John and he likes to play tennis and video games with his friends. And his dialogue is, hey friends, do you want to play tennis or video games?
Yeah.
But when I see a complex character on TV, or like you were saying earlier with that line, senses permission, you know, a subtext that an actor can see or a person can read that and understand the character better. I think that's just something that is great writers do it, and I could never begin to understand to do it.
Yeah. I think that's really hard because I think you have a pretty good knack for, because I'd be interested if you ever do if you ever do something like that instead of, because the only things that I've read of yours are like 5 to 8 pages
Yeah,
or
we're
something
free
like that.
for acting if you ever want to.
No.
For sure, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do. But no, if you ever do get a okay, maybe not me. Yeah, that was, yeah. We'll cut that out.
Can you fly
twin.
out, Ben?
Yeah, can you fly us out?
If you ever do actually end up writing a full length, like 80 to like 110, 120 like page script, I think that would be really cool because in the short bits or like snippets that we've been able to see, I feel like you do have a really good grasp of like Jesse is dealing with a lot of underlying such and such, whereas maybe like I would write sometimes it's like, hey, Johnny has anxiety or something like that.
I think it's humanizing concepts,
Yeah.
where it's just like you take this concept and instead of saying this person is sad, you're good at outlining an action they do that displays they're sad or that displays they feel a certain way. Like this person is tentative around their friends, so whenever their friends, whenever they are talking or doing something with their friends, they're like, all right, like, am I good to do it? Like, can I grab my phone? Like, and then it's as their friends don't stop them. That's not illustrated in dialogue, but it's something the actor will do that will convey it perfectly.
Yeah, like there's a big difference between if you write something that's like, I looked at my friend and she rolled her eyes and then I pulled my phone out, as opposed to being like, I looked at my friend and we could sense between the two of us, like, I know she doesn't want me to pull out my phone. She knows that I want to pull out my phone, and then she just kind of gives me.
The greater directive is that this conversation will move forward when I pull out my phone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that's not something you write where it's like this, but yeah, whatever. Are we done glazing Gio, dude? It's pissed me off.
No, I mean, it is her episode, so maybe not as much. Do you make a point to do stuff like that? Like specifically not direct actions, but just kind of like you find a way to kind of like warp it a little bit to...
Well, yeah, because like a dialogue is mostly dialogue. A script is mostly dialogue because it's like what you can write, I guess. But no, I feel like I don't know. I've literally taken like one screenwriting class. I want to act like I'm a professional screenwriter.
So
you know more than
so
us.
nonchalant. Wow.
Yeah.
I like.
I did one semester.
I try to put that stuff in because, again, the script is what the audience is seeing and what the camera is seeing. So it's literally all you have. Like you can't. Like I was saying this yesterday to you. Like, you can't write like I don't know. It's what the audience is seeing. You can't write backstory or history because it's not there. The audience can't know it. It's not like a normal book like I was talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I try to put it in as much as possible because it's also like you can't put it in too much though because then that's the director talking to the actors. You can make notes on it later, but I put it in so that it's like you still know the story and there's still like emotion in it.
Yeah.
Fair. Quick question. This isn't in the script, so I'm throwing a curveball at Cole here for time wise.
Okay.
Would you sometimes in a video game, I'll play the healer to better understand what the person on the front lines fighting needs. Would you ever take an acting class to better understand how to convey direction to an actor in the future? Even though
They
you know,
say-
That's good.
Yeah.
They say that you're supposed to, but SCAD has a directing actors class, so I think I would just take that.
So sort of bases
instead,
covered there. All right.
So I don't have to be the actor.
Okay.
Because that is something I will never want to do.
I know you don't want to do it, but I'm saying it's
I
a
think
totally
it's
different thing. I
definitely-
think you should.
I think
right?
it's definitely beneficial, but I think if they're providing a class on how
Yeah.
to direct the actors, I can just take that.
And checkmate. Fair enough.
Yeah. This wasn't a part of like the thing that I had, but I was actually thinking about this yesterday, and there's a yeah, I'll let you finish. There's an underlying this applies to you too, and we can like circle back around to it. This isn't arrogant, and I'm trying not to make it sound arrogant, but
It's gonna be arrogant.
it'll probably be arrogant. When I write stuff and I ask you questions about it to actually kind of like learn and try to like better the way that I like write and tweak stuff a little bit. Do you like when stuff like that happens, when you're kind of like challenged to like somebody that obviously doesn't go to a film school or didn't go to a film school and is trying to learn that you're able to teach people about that? Like, is that something that you enjoy?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because all my roommates, all my friends were all doing the same thing. So it's like, it's great to talk about it with them, but I can't, like, it's not new to them. I can't explain anything to them that they haven't already learned because we're taking the same classes. Like, when one of you asks, or like even my mom or something, when anybody who, doesn't go to film school asks, I like explaining it to them. Not because I want to sound like pretentious or something. I just like talking about it with people who don't know about it already.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, off podcast, we discussed this already. I think teaching is a fundamental kind of core to human life. Is a super deep conversation we went off on off camera, but I do think that sharing your passion with someone is like absolutely fundamental to connecting with someone.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was going to loop back for you. Do you have like the same thing? Like my mom jokes with me about it where like if my dad will be telling a story about like something that happened at work, I'll be like, oh, that's actually called this theory. And like, that's why this person did something. Does that happen to you a lot where you can look at something and be like sometimes we pick on them for it, but like, why do you know this information? But you go to school for that. So are there a lot of times where like either you just like knowing that this X happens because of Y, or like, how do you feel about that?
Well, whatever you want to call it, I would say just general knowledge. I think that they shot a look at each other. I think that I'm really just eager to connect with people. And I have just like, YouTube late nights, I have trouble sleeping. I'll watch a YouTube video on anything as long as the person speaking's voice is like soothing enough for me to fall asleep to it. So I have like a weirdly wide knowledge base. And so when something comes up, if it's psychology, if it's YouTube, if it's a video game fact, if it's a cool thing you can do with your laptop, I'm just really eager to share it. So a lot of times when a psychology topic appears in real life, like someone's actually like, oh my gosh, dude, like I start salivating as soon as I walk into this restaurant. I'm like, classical condition, or, something classic where it's like, it's just fun for me to share things I am passionate about with people I enjoy spending time with. So that'll come out with psychology. It'll come out with whatever. But I do feel like, especially with you and Gio, some of my close friends, more often than not, like we'll just be hanging out and I'm like, oh, like actually this person's craving a cigarette because nicotine is named after a receptor in your brain because it's so addictive that they just gave it its own dopamine like shot thing, neuroreceptor. And yeah, like it'll just come out because I really enjoy, like I want you to enjoy something as much as I do. And I feel like that's the basis for sharing your passion, is that like, this is something I love, you're someone I love, let's connect the two,
Yeah. Nice. Pivoting from film a little bit, just location wise, where you go to school right now. Are there any like good places that you go to in Charlotte, or like, are you like a regular anywhere, like restaurants or like shops and stuff like that?
Rocco's.
Yeah.
El Rocco Lounge. She's a regular.
Not anymore.
The unnamed film or whatever, that the thing that you like sent me a picture of or whatever, is that like a market or something that you guys go to a lot?
Fully a tourist store. I just wanted a Savannah mug.
Oh, really?
But there's like yeah, I mean Savannah's great. Why are you doing that?
Why are you doing that?
We're open for filming.
Go ahead.
Obviously Forsyth's the big one. That's the big park there. I don't get to go because I live like on the other side of the city, but hopefully next year when we have a house, I'll live over there so I can go. But I mean, yeah, it's like River Street, Broughton Street. That's all great. Those are like the touristy spots though. So it's like when I walk them, I don't look at them and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like, I mean, I will see like the river and the bridge and I'm like, oh, pretty. But like, I think there's a lot more in Savannah and those shouldn't really be the touristy spots. But shout out Goodies.
Oh my
Goodies
gosh!
is so
Shout out
good.
Goodies for real.
Goodies
What is
it? Delicious. They like changed their menu up, but there's this one thing. I'm blanking. I don't know what it's called. But it's like a burger kind of, and it's just so good, and it has tater tots, and it's just the best.
Mhm.
And it's amazing.
It's a classic overpriced burger and whatever, but oh my gosh,
No,
is
but
it
it's
worth the
so-
overprice?
yes.
Because whenever I'm in Savannah, I'm on like kind of vacation for the weekend. I'm cool with spending $16 for a burger, fries, and a drink. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, shout out Goodies.
Yeah. Shout out Goodies. Shout out Corleone's best Italian food.
She's lying, but all right.
I'm not lying. You've never even had it. What are you talking about?
Just felt like saying she's lying.
She's got to be. That reminds me of the what you're saying, like you'd pay for that burger. You seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Yeah.
No.
What? Oh my gosh. Well, one of the characters orders.
I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
Because it takes place in the like 80s, 90s, I think. She orders like a $5 milkshake, and like the waiter walks away, and the guy she's with is like, "Did you just order a $5 milkshake? What's in it that makes it $5?" But that just reminded me of it. Damn, that
Cookout.
sucks that you guys haven't seen it. It's a great
Yeah,
movie.
and I'm not the film major too, so it's like it's excusable when I haven't seen it.
We're not
Gio?
getting into that.
All right. Are there any kind of? Oh, okay. Well, the one thing I had to say about that is seeing like stuff that you post there. It seems like a very. I feel like it would be because you're around like an art institution. It's a very like artsy area. I feel like.
Yeah, even without SCAD, it is though. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
beautiful Victorian town. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're more like in the city kind of thing. Which like there are spots around here that like I'm sure that.
We're very much college just outside the city town.
Yeah, and I
100%.
think isn't that like our thing? We're just like constantly growing, and there's
Yeah.
just a bunch of like.
We are expanding like a parasite.
Yeah, but like a lot of the stuff that like you post about seems like from a movie. I get that's kind of the point to an extent, but like you're in this alley that's filled with like musical posters, and it's lit by like these lanterns above and stuff like that. That's not specifically something that I've seen, but like that's the kind of like feeling that I get. I don't know if have you been down there?
I
You
haven't
have, right?
seen it, but one time I was walking with Gio and some of my friends, and she just pointed at an alley. She was like, "This is where all the basic white boys take their pictures with a fit pic," and it was like. I saw the alley and I was like, "Oh, it's probably gonna be stupid." That alley was sick as hell, dude.
And then Vin's like, "Take my phone."
I like
really
saw
quick."
that and I was like already starting to like, and I was like, I can't be like them. But yeah, like there's a lot of spots in Savannah that I've seen so far that I'm just like, wow, like this is great. It's kind of like visiting New York City, where like this would be awesome to take if I didn't know that this was a touristy thing.
Yeah.
And then Gia will just point out like a random corner where she's like, "Yeah, just take my picture." And I'm like, "Oh, cool! It's the sickest thing I've ever like. This is gonna look awesome."
Do you think that too? Like, there's just a lot of
Yeah.
photo specific spots you
Yeah,
can think of.
There's so much that I haven't been. Like, I've been to a lot of Savannah. I know my way around by now, but I still like there's so many like side streets or like smaller streets and like small businesses or like tiny stores I haven't gone in, and like I blame that right now on like where I live, because I live very much like the film buildings are right where I live. My dorm, my dining hall, it's all right there.
When you
The
cross
roads are
into
there.
Savannah, Giovanna is the first building you'll
Yes,
see.
I'm the only skyscraper in Savannah.
Yeah, she is.
Really?
As you go across the bridge to the property line to Savannah, look immediatay left.
It says SCAD in
35-story.
pink letters.
Yeah.
That's where I live. But no, there's like, yeah, I'm blaming it on that right now. So hopefully next year when I can live somewhere else and find new places.
What was from Nora's like vlog thing that I was looking at? I don't know if you remember this at all. You guys were like on top of a building at one point. Was
The
that?
Atlanta one?
I think so. Yeah. Where was that? Was that near
Yeah,
you guys?
that was like, yeah, well, that was our first time any of us have been to the Atlanta campus, which it's a lot smaller. I mean, Savannah doesn't have a campus. It's just like spread throughout the city. But Atlanta is like 3 SCAD buildings and they're all right next to each other. But they have like, that was like I don't know. It was where the fashion museum was. So like they have like the dress from the live action Cinderella and like stuff like that. So we were like, we didn't even know that was there. We just were trying to find the fashion museum, and then we go up and we like just walk out the doors and you can just see all of Atlanta, and we were like, damn.
Well, hell yeah.
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 No, that was cool. I don't know. I said maybe I'd do a semester in Atlanta, but I don't think I would go
Mm-hmm.
to school there.
Because like Charlotte has like its nice spots too. a decent amount of bad ones, but
Healthy
like
amount for sure.
it just seems a lot of the stuff that, at least because you're not going to go to like the slums and post a picture, obviously, but a lot of the stuff that
I
you
don't know.
or your
You don't know where she's from, dude.
yeah, next week Gio just
Post it
like
up, yeah.
in a burned down building, just like taking some
Dude with the
pictures.
shiesty on, yeah, ski
that'd
mask
be
on, hoodie on, posted up with
Please, I'm begging you to go back.
2 AKs in each thing.
Go
like
back
a-
to SCAD and just find like the dirtiest alley you guys can go down. But no, it's cool because it looks very like warm and like 80s, 90s. You're gonna bring a Polaroid. You're gonna
Yeah.
like lay a picnic table out, kind of like, and that might just be kind of like the aesthetic that you guys are going for. But it also just seems like that's kind of what the area is.
Yeah.
I think it's conducive to it, and Charlotte has those spots where I think it's conducive to all that. I mean, imagine when you're going towards Optimus Hall and you see those light up steps, and in the background is Uptown. If you think of, and bleep this because no one can, don't bleep this. But if you go to Rail Yard, at the top of it, you can just take the elevator to the parking deck, top floor. It's
You're
just
gatekeeping the.
I'm not gatekeeping. Don't bleep this.
Yes.
More people need to go support these businesses, please. If you go to the top of the parking deck at Rail Yard, you get an unobstructed view of the city. It's beautiful. You're so close. All the lights are on. You're 6 stories up. It looks incredible. Gio even took one of those Polaroid pictures there. You think of the mirror statue next to the Mint Museum.
I don't think I know that one.
You would if I showed it to you. It's like I'm going to show it to you after the podcast. Or honestly, the next time you're talking during the podcast, I'm going to pull up the picture.
Okay.
So we're just going to sort of APA 7th reference that. But I think that Charlotte has those spots and Savannah has those spots. But I think Savannah's curated towards having, because they know it's a Victorian town, they're curating the experience of the town towards viewers are funneled towards those spots. And in Charlotte, you do kind of seek it out because Charlotte is flat and spread out, and Savannah is condensed and really it's a city of overstimulation. Every single turn I have, it's like, oh, the Thunderbird Inn. It's glaring neon sign. Next turn, oh, it's a huge Gothic clock tower. And I think it's just about, in Savannah, you have to seek out the actual authentic city experience, and in Charlotte, you have to seek out the city aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. There's one, I don't know if you've seen it, but is it 85 or something on one of the highways, kind of like going into the
Oh my gosh, I know exactly. I think
into
it
the
is 85.
city.
It's
If
a beautiful
you're
shot.
if you're like driving, if you look to
It's
your left,
perfect.
it's just like the whole city
It's
that you
perfect.
can see. I don't know if
Charlotte?
you've
Yeah,
I don't know if
Charlotte,
you guys
yeah.
have been on that road. But
I have, yeah.
that to me is like my favorite because that highway itself sucks. Like I hate driving that highway. But like whenever I do, especially at nighttime, like when I would go out with my friends and stuff. you
If
just look-
anyone from this podcast is from the New York area, think about going across the GWS bridge and looking to your right or left if you're going the other way. And it's just the skyline, perfect. It is the absolute encapsulation of Charlotte. I agree totally.
yeah, I love it. Every time I see it, and I've seen it like a decent amount of times now, it's just
It just makes me think that I'm happy to be in Charlotte.
yeah, like this is why I'm here.
Yeah, it's like this is my city.
Because I think
And it's
also
not my city.
this is my city. Because I think also like Bank of America Stadium's like just
Oh,
in the corner
dude,
of
yeah.
it, like when you're
And
going.
then next to it is Bank of America. It's always lit up red. Truist building is purple and white. You see that one battery from Titanfall looking building where it's like it's got that handle on it, dude. Yeah, it is just something specific.
Kind of. This is the last question I had. I don't know if you had anything else
I have a
after
question for
this.
you after this, but not you.
Kind of going off of the scenic aspect of Savannah a little bit. Are there any like other than like your overnight and stuff, which kind of sound like hell for a brief period of time, where you get off at like 4 or 5 in the morning, but are there any really cool, because you guys all film kind of like locally, right? You don't really go super far out. I don't really know.
I don't know. We went like 45 minutes out. My friend went an hour and a half, but that was crazy. I wouldn't do that.
Are there any, I guess, from your experience, or I mean, you can talk about like from what you've heard. You might not be able to describe it as well, but are there any like super cool or like special places for you that like you enjoy shooting at?
Well, I haven't been on many yet. That number's still growing, but I like seeing, not necessarily like about the location, but I'm more like seeing what they turn it into. Like when I was on the one in the woods, like knowing that they went there, location scouted that, and like they saw their vision, I think that is cool more than me turning up and being like, whoa, this woods looks cool. Like knowing that they're going to turn it into something else, like they saw and had an idea for it,
Yeah.
is what I think is more interesting about the places we film at. Or like we went to a house for the overnight one. It was supposed to be like a celebrity's mansion, and like we show up and it's this nice house, and I'm like, okay. And then the PD people come in and they start hanging like fake movie posters on the wall. They have like fake Oscars, and I'm like, so like that's what they did with it.
Yeah.
So I think that's more the creative aspect. I shout out PD departments because
Hey, shout out PD.
shout out PD because I don't think I have the eye for that, but I think they really are underrated in the film department.
Is there anywhere that you've seen like nearby that you would really want to go to, and like aside from, I know you just said like maybe sometimes you don't have like the perfect vision for like what it can become, but like is there anywhere there you like I really want to go here?
There's one when I went location scouting in the fall for something that is not being made yet, but I went location scouting, and no, I'm not even talking about that one. So
My fault.
but I still have the picture on my phone, like of it, like the sun was kind of setting when we were there too, and it just like looks so nice, and I'm like, I need to use this, even if it's not for that script that I had, like I just need to use it because it looks so nice, and like I feel like it could serve as so many different locations in the film.
Mhm.
But I don't remember what it's called, but I'm keeping that on the DL.
Gatekeeping. Huh?
Gatekeeping that a little bit, yeah.
Gatekeeping my location for when I use it in my
Unrelated.
film.
I think I said GWS. I meant Whitestone earlier for the bridge. That's on me. That's just a little
Thank you.
self-bent. And you're welcome.
And I know you meant that, and you're welcome.
And I'm not from the north, so I just want to throw that out there. But I meant Whitestone. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, like you were saying, like the more you go to this school, the more opportunities you're probably gonna have to do this stuff. So I'm actually really curious to see kind of what. I mean, some of it you might not be able to like publish because you don't. There's like some confidentiality maybe of where you're shooting, what you're shooting, kind of stuff like that. But if you're able to do some like BTS of like places and stuff that you're going to film, I think that's pretty cool. Because I think I've seen you do some like houses and stuff like that you've been in, or just stuff that's been created artificially. But I think that's pretty cool. What was your question?
What does that wrap it up for you? Huh?
For now,
So now we get to get into the good question.
there's room for me to think of anything else.
This is going to be a hard pivot. Cole's been transitioning questions flawlessly tonight, but here's just one that
I
I
was
want
just gonna
to.
say, here's my question.
My question is,
So yeah, go ahead.
but that is actually how I'm going to transition. Where it's like I feel like we've had great conversations tonight, and it takes effort to kind of force these conversations to flow into another where you get like an actual podcast. But we've mentioned it off camera before. I think my on podcast persona, whatever, is a little bit different than my actual persona, you know, like how I am normally. And I think Gio's even been more open and talkative than she is normally. Like we were making fun of her at the beginning of the podcast.
I'd like to apologize, by the way, because if we can say
100%.
this has been great. Like
been great.
you've been very engaging, and I'm really happy.
I would try.
She locked in when she needed to, and I
so
love that.
That's kind of my question is, how do you feel like a podcast serves as a medium to facilitate conversation? Do you feel like guests are more or like less inclined to be honest and genuine because they're on a podcast? Like they're like, I'm on a podcast, I got to answer. I'm on a
Yeah.
podcast. Everyone's gonna hear this. I got to claim up. Like, how do you feel like this serves as a way to engage in conversation with your friends, guests, whatever?
I think because we talked to Gio a little bit about it before the podcast started.
And she was silent in responses.
Yeah, some people that I've talked to, or like some people that I've wanted to have on in the past, have been a little bit more reserved because, especially like when I started introducing the camera and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah, you turn the camera on.
They're like, I don't
Yeah.
know about that. I don't know what we're going to talk about and stuff like that. But I really do try to make a point to kind of like, even if, because I've had people on that I just didn't know, or like the first time that I met them was filming the podcast. I think initially in the beginning it might take a little bit to kind of like get the gears going a little bit, but after the first maybe like 10 minutes or so, I feel like it opens it a lot more to kind of just being like, because we do this off of the podcast and we could talk about this stuff, or like I'll ask you about school or just other things that you're working on, but I do a lot of this just kind of like in real life. This is real life too. I don't know why I said that, but I do this stuff like not on camera too, where like if somebody will tell me, hey, I go to school for this, or I do this every day or something like that. I genuinely want to know more about that. Like
Mhm.
sometimes people fake it, and that sucks because then it takes credit away from stuff like this. But yeah, I think after a little bit, people kind of start to open up a lot more about it. They realize too that like this isn't. We did it a lot, and like we made jokes about it. I try and paint whoever I have on here in a really high, like I put you guys up on a really high
you're
pedestal.
the celebrity guest of the evening.
Yeah, because I'm legitimately trying to know more stuff about you, and I think that nobody that I've had on here hasn't been like an interesting person or somebody that I didn't think could be an interesting person. Like for me, that was kind of like my what is it, like location scouting or something like that. There's somebody that I know or know of that I'm just like, hey, Gio knows a lot about like film, and she knows a lot about just kind of like the camaraderie that comes with like being around a bunch of people that know a lot about a certain thing. She gets along well with a lot of people. She's very easy to talk to, stuff like that. So I think it's very easy to kind of bring people on here and have them talk about those aspects of their life, not just because I want them to, and I think that it can help other people learn more about it, but I think that after a while, it actually becomes like fun to talk about.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny that I was actually going to bring this up to you in private, but now that I've seen you do the exact thing I was going to bring up, I want to mention it. You've mentioned to me that Conan O'Brien is sort of your personal kind of celebrity guy. You relate to him. You think he's kind of the model for late night talk show hosts. Yeah. And I want to say that throughout my time on the show, one episode before this and just this, I've noticed that you use like a late night style where it's just like, hey, we're going through these bullet points, promote your thing, whatever, where it's just like you're clearly going through question, but in a way that feels human and normal. Do you feel like that is inspired? Do you feel like you're kind of doing an inspired by late night talk show thing? Or do you think that's sort of just something you've accumulated over the years throughout your passion for Conan O'Brien and late night talk show hosts?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's... When we first started doing it, I didn't have like a script or like bullet questions and stuff like that.
I'd like to contrast that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're not on for that era, because that would have been horrible. And like, honestly, I'm kind of sorry to like some of the people that we had on initially, but like even then, I had like a few things here or there that I wanted to talk about, but it's more like, hey, you go to film school. Mm-hmm. What's a favorite film of yours or something like that. But for this now, it's a little bit more intricate and things like that.
Engaging with the guests.
Yeah, but like, yeah, you're right. And I'm surprised you remembered that. Good kudos to you.
Are you surprised I remember that?
I was literally about to say it.
Do I need to say it?
Don't even need to say it.
But no, yeah, the Conan O'Brien thing, like I'm stoked that he's going to be hosting the Oscars, because I think just from
Shout out Timothy Chalamet.
Oh God!
Excuse me, Gio.
We've gone this long.
Into the mic, please. Into the mic, please.
We've gone this far without saying anything about it. I think from a comedy standpoint, he's super clever. He does, I feel like, just enough sometimes where it's weird, but it's not like the people around him are uncomfortable.
It's very Conan.
Yeah, and if they are uncomfortable, he immediately is like, I know not to do that now, and I'm just going to pivot to something that's a little bit more like...
And then he'll also lean, too, where he's like, this is the uncomfortability of Conan, and now that's my brand.
Yeah. And the thing that I really love about him is that he has that kind of like dial on him where he can go from, okay, I'm a comic, and I'm going to make a bunch of jokes. I'm here to make people laugh. We're doing a bit right now. Mm-hmm. And then if whoever he's making laugh is like, Conan, you're so funny. What got you into this in the first place? He could be like, well, when I was going to Harvard, I understood that like writing was like the thing that I loved the most, and specifically writing that like brought people great joy, and like he could give life experiences and stuff like that. So I think from a comedic standpoint, there's a lot of stuff that I pull from him, but also from, especially like you were just talking about, like this podcast and the format that is kind of like progressed with a little bit. Mm-hmm. I do follow him a lot. But yeah, just kind of like broadcasting or like talk shows in general, because in another life, maybe if I could be a talk show host, that would be awesome. Because I feel like
in another life, gang, you're 23.
In this life.
In this life.
Guys, I love that. The confidence here is fantastic. But yeah, I'll put in my application. Yeah. I mean, it's not just, I see a lot too, like talk show hosts and stuff like that, if they meet Timothy Chalamet or Robert Downey Jr. or somebody that's just like super, those are just the two people I could think of. But something that's super famous, like you'll hear all the time about like money and success and stuff like that. But I want to learn more about like, what does Timothy Chalamet do to like.
Like the sports interview he did, where it's like he absolutely dissected college sports,
Yeah.
football, and you're like, oh, he enjoys watching college football on the weekends.
Yeah, stuff that makes it more like you were kind of saying, this isn't as robotic as it is just like I'm talking to people.
Yeah,
and I want to learn
100%.
more about like what makes you who you are as a person as opposed to like.
Yeah, the foundation for a good talk show is being able to talk on a show, you know, like
Yeah.
have a conversation with someone.
Yeah, how are you different and like go against the grain as opposed to being what everybody wants you to be as opposed to what you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now Gio's question for you.
And that's all we have. But no, yeah, this is awesome. It's kind of like I was thinking about it a little bit as a joke because like we've joked about it a lot since then. Ben made a like a reference to comedy on his episode, like the chisel.
Oh yeah, chisel. Yeah, hammer
Yeah,
chisel.
and like as he was saying it, I started laughing, and I was like, oh, "Dude,
Yeah,
that's
dude, that
dumb."
hurt deep.
And then like he finished it, and I was like, "That was really introspective. That was awesome." And at the beginning of this, we were like,
Yeah.
"It's gonna be trying to get all this out of Gio," and then I'd ask a question, and then you would take it a direction that I wasn't expecting
Yeah,
to
that was
take
great.
it. So it was really cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
There we go.
And she's back.
And
we're
she's
good.
back. And she's back.
But yeah, again, I mean, I always say like I hope to see you guys next week and stuff like that. But I think now it's more of a quality over quantity kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see you next occasion. Whoa, I'm not a host. Cole, we'll see you guys on the next occasion.
Cole will be back on. But no, 6 months maybe is a little bit egregious. But what?
Oh, I thought you were saying the next episode in 6
No,
months.
no,
My
no,
bad, my
no. Yeah, the last one was 6 months ago. But yeah.
bad. Dang.
I was still living here when I did that episode.
Dang, we were still sleeping in the same bed.
But anyway, we find yeah. And cut. No, oh, grab the thing. Cut it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. Can you cut my audio from that?
Though. Not then.
Not this time. Go ahead and clack that down for me real quickly.
Like that.
Cool. Yeah, this is dope. Had a lot of fun. Hopefully the next person I meet will just be just as enthused about what we're talking about. And I know they will be because...
It's perspective. How couldn't they be?
Exactly. And I actually want us to outro like that. So could you grab that again for me, please, really quickly? All right. See you guys next time. And thank you for joining us today. See you.